I'll go ahead and I'll send you the PowerPoints later for you so you can see it if you want to. Alright, this one, in your packets, I showed, I gave you an application of what it looks like to what I give anybody who comes in with a certificate or wanting a certificate of appropriateness. And these are defined as a certificate that approves work to be done on any house or building that's in the district for the historical district. You need this whenever you're doing construction, alterations, reconstruction, if they're doing demo or any exterior changes to the building in a whole. So that's what you guys have already approved, a couple of them that have had to be done. What doesn't require a COA is if they're doing any routine maintenance on the building. Anything that just keep it updated, keep it in good condition, they do not need to come to us for these. If they're repainting, as long as they're using the same color, if they're fixing any loose, building pieces or anything like that, or anything like that, they don't need to come to us. But if they're making some drastic changes, that's when we're going to do a vote on that. So, let's see.
We talked a little bit, I don't want to interrupt.
You're fine.
About trying to get some kind of informational packet, or I think Carlos actually brought this up at one point, to the public to make sure they understand when they should or should not be applying for a certificate of appropriateness. Maybe we can circle back to that.
No, I think that's a good idea. Our building inspector actually wants to do a big information bulletin. Because we're having a lot of problems with not just for historical areas, but just for people understanding when they need to come and get a permit to do any work. I'm lucky where in my position I'm able to stop people if I do know that they're working in the historical district to let them know that they need to come. And if they're going to make a change, they need to come and talk to you guys first before they go forward. It's actually stopped a few people from doing some work that they're supposed to, they wanted to do. Because they were planning on doing some unhistorical things to some buildings. But I think that we do need, because I think a lot of people in Trinidad don't know that they need to do this added step when they're making some changes.
So what would be the best way for us to have input into getting those materials out to the public?
I definitely think maybe something on the website would help, or Facebook. Social media is a good idea of getting information out, I think. Some people don't even realize they're in the historical district.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what about like a mailing to every address that's in the district to say you're in the district, if you're making these changes, these are things you need to do or whatever?
That might be a good idea. I think it would definitely help, especially informing them that they are in the historical district. I can talk to Audra and see if we should have, we do have the addresses. I did print out a map for you guys. It shows all of the buildings that are inside of the district. It also shows some of the buildings that are a little further out, and they're contributing, but they're not within the historical district. Not the Corzon district anyways. Because the buildings that are like underneath the viaducts that we've just approved for landmarking and stuff, right, those are actually not in the Corzon district, but they are in the historical district.
So again, not to repeat myself, but I'm just wondering what is the best way, and Carlos, if you can chime in on this, because I know you have interests and thoughts about this, but I don't want to lose track of this, and it's because we keep coming back to it, and I don't know if there's a way if this is an HPC thing, if one of the commissioners wants to try to, take this on as a project working with you, Tara, or with planning and zoning, or what is the best way to make sure that we're getting that information out, and how can we do that? Do you think it's something we just want to kind of keep on our radar as an agenda item, or is there something more that we can do? Carlos, are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Do you have any input on this?
I think a direct to mail kind of link to everybody in the district huge district in our area, and it is, you know, an asset to this community. It's something that's important to this community. It's, you know, it drives some of our tourism.
Right.
Drives a lot of people wanting to live here because they want to live in a historic area. And I think both of them are going to work, but I talked about like trying to get some kind of funds from the city to start some kind of a packet together that we can send out to each one of these addresses.
Thank you for that summary, because I think you really hit on it. And this is like the nuts and bolts, though. You know, when we talked, my question to Steve earlier about, well, you know, what's the HPC's role in promoting historic preservation in Trinidad? And I think it does. I'd love to hear from the rest of the commission, you know, to really boil down to some of these smaller steps and tasks that we can take, like this one, to make sure that we are, you know, sharing information. So, Terry, you're looking at our brochure. Does that have, I mean...
It does, the brochure only deals with landmarking. It doesn't deal, so if we make something, I mean, we can make something similar to this that would go over what a certificate of appropriateness is, why you need it, and mail it out. I don't see an issue with mailing it out to the district. I mean, I've got, with the map, I can literally go through and look at every address and look up the addresses, create a database. It shouldn't be a problem.
I mean, I already have that, that's needed, already created that in ArcGIS.
Yeah, if we can get, I can get that, I can easily do a mailing. We just need to know what we're gonna be sending.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like we're sitting here, I mean, I'm willing to spend a little bit of time, like, coming up together with a package of what should be in it, because, I mean, yeah, we should have our stuff in it, but there also needs to be something coming from, you know, the State Historical Society or the Colorado District, speaking about historic preservation. You know, maybe a sheet in there that had a couple of links to like some videos and stuff that they can go to online and speak about historic preservation and show, you know, what it actually does mean, instead of just like, oh, because most people, when they think of that they have a house in the historic district, they're like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do anything with this house. Like, I'm kind of locked into what it's going to look like and how it has to be, but it's not like that. And people have that big misunderstanding. To break that misunderstanding, it'll also let people know, hey, there's money out there available for you to do all this kind of work, which nowadays that's a big thing with anybody trying to do any kind of work on their houses.
Yeah,
People are struggling.
on history of Colorado, there are a couple of links that actually give out information for that we can easily print off and add to the, or, you know, add it to a brochure so that it shows it's coming from us, letting them know what they can do for the house.
Chris, go ahead.
I would say maybe just in the interest of like saving paper and making the mailing more efficient, we could do either, you know, a new brochure or just maybe a postcard with an overview and the QR code that leads to a website that has all the forms, additional information and things like that.
I could talk to Anissa about that, because I know newspaper only comes out once a week, and it takes weeks to get on there.
Increasingly less attention, I think, but
we could do that. We could do on the website and website, newspaper. But I think your idea for a postcard, because I know people when they get things in the mail, if it looks like junk mail to them, they're just gonna toss it.
Yeah.
They won't open it and look at it. But a postcard, I mean, it's not that hard to flip it over and look at it.
Right.
yeah, because if we did a postcard with QR code with links, some version of that, that could also be replicated for social media, that would be the very same thing, but we would do it, you know, locally. I mean, I think that would give us the biggest bang.
And then maybe also have
But
like an option to have it mailed to someone if they want the physical copy or something like that. Not everyone maybe has internet access or uses the internet for that sort of stuff, but
Right.
make it available to everyone, but just thinking like limiting the amount of paper we send out and
Yeah.
so on and so forth, and trying to make it efficient.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to think, what is the single thing, and I don't want to get, stuck on this particular topic, because Terry needs to talk about all this stuff, but, is there something that we can do in the foreseeable future that would get us closer to, getting the word out about historic preservation? This seems like it's really important and manageable and doable by the commission. So if you guys agree, and we don't know exactly how that's gonna look, I mean, Carlos, would you be willing to kind of take the lead on this and work? But is there anybody else that wants to work with Carlos on this particularly?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Okay.
willing to work on it. I like the idea of a postcard, but I think a
I do
postcard
too.
would be a great thing for the community as a whole, so that everybody knows, gives kind of the basic
Yeah.
information. But as far as like the people that do live in the district, I think it needs to be a little bit more personalized as far as having a letter from the city saying, hey, congratulations, you
Yeah.
own a home in this district, this is what it means. And then also attached in that, and I know this might be a lot of work, but I mean, I'm willing to help out with this, is to put in each package for that address, because all of these buildings are listed, and all these homes are listed in the historic, or History Colorado site as either contributing or not contributing. The contributing ones, that actually have the history of their house and their building and why it is a contributing member of the community. So most of these people don't understand that, hey, this house was built by this person, which is very important.
And where is that
And this is
information?
why
History
we
of
want
Colorado.
this to be recognized. And when somebody sees that, they get antsy about it. I've already told several people that I know that live in the district about their house. And they're like, whoa, this is so cool. Are you serious? And I printed it. I printed out that paper and I get it done the inventory sheet. And it gives the whole history about it, because they've already done these surveys of all the houses, and they know the history of all the houses. And it's public information. It's just these people don't know how to get it, and we have the ability to get it to them. And if they see this, they're able to connect the two. They get really happy about that kind of stuff. They get really excited about, contributing to it, but putting their house on the list. They're trying to get it locally landmarked. So I think something like that needs to be done. I know it may cost a little bit, but I think it's going to go a long way in the end.
Yeah, I think if we did even just that, I mean, that would be something, but Lauren has a comment, I think.
Well, I was just thinking that I like the idea of the postcard, first of all, to just let people know that there is this rich history here, because some people live here and they just live here and it's just part of their life. But also I like the idea of a letter saying, welcome to Trinidad, welcome to the historic district of Trinidad. And then you put in links, like maybe a link to this map so that they can see where they stand, and like the application, and just have those links in this letter. I think that's a great idea.
I think so, doing a letter for the district and then doing postcards for
Yes.
Trinidad itself.
Yes,
To
Yeah.
let them know that
Right.
they can't even make their building, go through the steps to become historical.
Right.
I think that would be a good idea.
That's a
I don't
great
think that'd be too hard. Like I said, I can talk to Anissa about, because she does the QR codes for us.
Right.
And see if she can do one for us.
It'd just be the print, stock, and mailing. I mean, once you get everything put together.
Well, Carlos, if you, would like to kind of, to champion that and see if we can get this accomplished, I think that would be awesome. I mean, obviously Tara's, here to support that as staff, and then we'll do that, as a commission, but we really need to keep this moving and make sure that there is, a person that's going to help see this through.
We can add it to the next agenda, maybe have a rough out to show everybody by next month.
So what do we want to call this for reference? This is our,
Wouldn't we need 3 quotes for the postcards, we need all that too, right?
If it's under,
No, I
depending
don't
on
think
if it's
we
under
do.
$1,000, I don't think it'll go over 1,000 for us to do this.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
so this is our,
Community
I
outreach.
mean, would we, I'm sorry,
no, that's.
would the commission,
That would come out of our.
our budget,
we're
the postage and
gonna talk
everything?
about.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about the budget today.
Okay, all right, that's good to know.
Well, as long as we can keep it, on our radar, we keep
Right.
it on our agenda, and is there a time frame that you all feel is appropriate, best, in which we could say, we're gonna do this by and work backwards
I
from
think
that?
somewhere in February.
Yeah, if we get a rough done by next month, pick out which one we wanna do, we could have it out in January. I think after Christmas
Well,
would be the best.
would it need to be approved by the city council?
No,
Okay.
So
Yeah, then
after-
January or
After the
February.
holidays,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely before spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we can also
Before
put in
people
there.
start
the
working on their
echoes.
homes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can also put in them to reference the echoes coming out during our event.
Oh, yes.
So we're gonna shoot for January or February to get this in the hands of the people we
Right,
are targeting.
Yeah,
let's say yes. Let's say if we say in February and we get it done in January, that's just better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So let's say February.
yeah.
Does that work for you, Carlos?
Yeah,
Okay,
Alright.
so continue.
just make sure to put it on the next
Agenda.
agenda.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna bring like everything that I know that we need to get this done to the table.
Yeah, not a problem.
Awesome.
Thank you, Carlos.
What we need to do to get this taken care of, and what we should include, and then, get some ideas from you guys on what I have, and then we'll go from there.
Yep, perfect.
Super duper. Okay.
Alright, so, for the certificate of appropriateness is, I don't even know how to say that correctly, plural.
Right.
Certificates.
Of appropriate.
The first thing that we have to do is for the steps that the commissioners take to review it before it comes to, on the agenda. We have to review the background information that the clients provide to make sure that it's a complete package. Mostly the biggest thing is acceptable drawings that they need to give us. That's, they can do freehand or mechanical, but they need to be to scale, so it needs to be measured. It can't be just a rough, and I have seen some from contractors that, I had one contractor turn it in, I swear it was done by Crown. And it has to be specifically detailed so that you guys can look at it and see what they're changing on the building,
Or
or.
be the cover for our postcard. The crayon.
The what?
The crown draw, I had to send it back to him, I'm like, you cannot turn this in. Make sure they add the dimensions to the drawings, because if they're like, as the ones that Keely had given of the well, I mean, she did a proper mechanical drawing of the building, what she was gonna change on the building, so you want the most detail possible in order to, go forward. And then, let's see. Steps during the meeting, this is what, Steve kind of went over already, and that is the chair will call the meeting to session, introduce the applicant and their project or whatever they're working on. A staff report is given, which I create for each of the properties. You're listening to the applicant's presentation that they're gonna give. This is when you guys get to ask questions of the applicant. And then we entertain the motion, and they're given, we have 4 options, you guys, for the motion. You can approve it as submitted, you can approve it with conditions, so they can do whatever changes they want if you guys make suggestions on what they can't change. Or you can deny it, or we can continue it if you guys need more information. So if they come to us, they don't have everything that they need, you guys can tell them, okay, we're gonna have to wait till the next session. And then you will vote on the proposal. I then create a record, so I will create a certificate that I send out to them afterwards to let them know that they can go forward with getting their permits to do the changes. Okay, now this I just put down, it's on all of the letters that go with the applications. It is our actual ordinance for the certificate, that proves that we have to have the certificate of appropriateness based off of our ordinance. So I just wanted to include that. So not a very big one, but if you guys have any questions about the certificates or anything like that.
Did you say, so these were all pieces, sorry, of the packet that you sent?
Yes, whenever you guys get your packets on the agenda, I always have the certificate of appropriateness, the application, all the information that the applicant gives, like, with Keely, she did like little, I don't know what you'd call it, like it looked like a newsletter that had all the history and everything included. And then I always, anything that they draw or design, if they have plans, I include that, and then I always do the staff report.
The applicant gets, what does the applicant get?
The applicant, at the end, the applicant gets a certificate, I'll show you. I brought all my stuff with me. So they'll get this, which Kelly or Elizabeth signs. So they get an actual certificate showing that they've been given approval, that they can go forward.
Is it on fancy paper?
I can print them on fancy paper, I don't. Actually, most of them, I end up emailing them to them, so they don't even, if they want the fancy paper, they can come in and pick it up, but generally I just print them.
But the packet that they get when they apply.
That is, they just get the application that they have to, and I gave a copy inside, so this is what they get. And
Okay.
it lists on here everything that they need to bring, or that they need to give before that we will approve it, or to go forward. So they have to have everything in there complete before it can go in front of you guys. So that's one of my jobs, is to make sure that they have everything. If not, they get sent back to them, they have to wait till the next month's meeting. Because of the newspaper, they have to have it in to me by the beginning of the month to be on the next meeting.
So when we're promoting this, or when we put together our outreach notice or mailer thing, when we say to people, you know, what's the benefit, or why should they submit a COA? You know, what's in it for them?
We're making sure when you guys have to approve them, the COA allows us to make sure that they're staying within the historical. That they're not trying to change the building, make it too modern, it changes, I mean.
So they have to have one.
To do, according to our ordinance, to do any changes to their building, they must have a COA before they can do a permit.
There's no.
I'm curious though,
It is.
is there any enforcement of that or penalty, or what's the, like, is there any thing that happens if they don't?
Yeah, if they don't have a COA when they pull a permit, I don't issue a permit.
Okay.
So, thankfully, because of my position, they have to come to me in order to do a pool permit.
Is there fines?
Yes.
Like,
If
the ordinance?
according to our ordinance, if any work is done without a permit, for one thing, if they don't have the COA, I don't issue a permit. If they do the work without a permit, they get issued a fine that my building inspector is.
So there's no benefit, it's a must.
It's a must.
I mean, there's no benefit.
But if it's
We
not
say-
getting fined.
Oh, the fines, yeah, John, my building inspector enjoys going after people for, it's one of his joys.
But when you're trying to persuade or show someone, I mean, I hear these are really good questions and we need to know this. So what if someone just said, well, I don't want to deal with that, so I'm not going to do the work, I'm not going to make a change. I mean, is there a way, is there languaging, is there an approach that's better than others that encourages people to file for a certificate?
If you do the work without it, you can lose, I believe you can lose your standing as historical. Because if you made changes to your building that now makes it not historical, I mean, you lose the standing.
Maybe if there's language that's more like appealing to the, the community, like the responsibility of, owners to the community, not necessarily like bad things will happen to you if you don't do this.
Yeah.
This will help,
Right.
Yeah.
foster the,
How do we get them
Talk more
to
about
want
the-
to do it?
Yeah.
Is there any financial incentive at all for this?
Yes, there's taxes.
Because,
There are tax,
that's what people
Well,
are
we
gonna
have
look
some
at.
incentives separate from the tax credit piece, didn't we? I thought we did previously, the city.
I'm not for us right now, I don't believe, the city doesn't have any. Not for the COA, for landmarking.
For landmark.
Yes,
sorry.
landmarking, we
Okay.
do, there are tax credits for being on the historical preservation.
But that's only for land,
That-
that's
That's
not
only
for
for
just,
landmarking, that's not
Right.
for
that's just not for
historical
historical.
buildings.
So, it is important, I think, though, to sort of frame it in a way that's sort of not, you're gonna get in trouble if
Right.
you don't.
There needs
I mean,
to- there
certainly you
need-
need to make those
Yeah,
consequences.
there needs to be
No.
some sort of benefit.
I think
yes.
that if we explain to
Whether
them
it's
that
psychological
is
or
at
whatever.
steps, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're gonna have, if your building is within a historical district, that you need to do the COA just as a step. Don't make it a punishment, you're not making it,
Right.
you're just explaining that before you do your, and because of the fact that I am in the building department, I can, when they come in to do anything to their building, I can just say, hey, we need you to go ahead and do the COA. I mean, the bank had no issues doing it for their sign, even though I had to stop them from that one. They had to do that as an added step to come in front of us to get a COA. They didn't throw a fit or anything, they're like, okay.
Well, when I bought my property, I knew that it was in the core zone district, but I didn't know what that meant. And I think that it's important that people
Yeah,
know that.
that's
Even
one
with-
of the
Even with
reasons.
the real estate agents, that they know how important that is, and I don't think they do a lot.
I think that's such a good.
So maybe that is one of the steps that we need to
And
do
we
is
send
to
them to
reach
real
out.
estate, yeah, we send them to all the
I
real
thought that's
estate.
what the postcard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we make sure we give them to the real estate agents in town.
Yeah, it could be specific ways to
No.
educate them that
Yeah.
they can, yeah.
I still think we should reach out to the newspaper, even if it takes us.
Well, sure, I mean,
Yeah.
because there are still people that still read the newspaper and get
Especially
their
the people that we
information.
want to target. I mean,
Yeah.
He's talking to somebody. But no, yeah, I don't see an issue with that, but, yeah, I don't, that's okay. There it is.
I was just gonna say right away, yeah, I think that's really important that we get the real estate, like, in this also, because this is also something that's gonna affect, like, possibly the sales in buildings, but also they gotta reiterate this to these people out there selling these buildings, like, hey, you live in a historic district.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah.
And according to our ordinance, one of the, I think it's suggested, I don't think it's mandatory, we're supposed to have a real estate professional on the commission. And we don't, and we have had two previously.
mandatory.
Pardon?
I thought it was mandatory.
Maybe it is, I'm not remembering the language exactly, but.
I'm not shocked.
So, that's just something to kind of keep in mind going forward in terms of the membership on the commission, because I think that's really
That is important, yeah.
important, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I'm having trouble, you won't share it again. I'm trying to remember what you did to get the president on there.
The two screens.
Yeah, that's what
Tom, can you assist perhaps, or no?
I don't,
Wait, I think
Okay,
I
think
got it.
we're-
No, that's why I didn't.
It says extend display, but I think we do want to duplicate the display, aren't we?
Yeah, that's what it was, I thought it was on here,
Well, it is, it's down here a little bit, if you, I think, it's,
oh, there it is. There we go, there we go. It says
is there like a gymnastics room up there?
it's apartments upstairs. Yeah, it's the, yeah. Alright. So the next one is landmarking. Which it goes with, landmarking actually goes with the historical, or with the, I think the COAs too. Our last one that we just did.
Yeah. We're good.
I know, I thought we were gonna have it, and I did not put it on the agenda, I apologize for that. I'm the one that even remembered or thought about it, but,
The one time we can all get together in a public place.
which, I had to laugh because Chris told the handyman that was putting it on the wall, on the building, don't put it on the building, let's just figure out where we're gonna put it. And then 15 minutes later, he comes back in and goes, okay, it's on there. That wasn't what we asked. But okay. So landmarking is defined as any building, property, or object that has a special character or special history or aesthetic interest or cultural characteristics of the city, state, or nation. So in our town, I mean, we have the beautiful library and then our beautiful museum.
I'm surprised that there aren't more buildings
That are landmarks.
landmarked.
That is actually one of our items that we're gonna be talking about, because we do have a list of, that I added to our packet.
Everybody should have this, it's called the city-owned properties, should be in the packet.
And actually, after getting our budget, I found out that we have a list too that we add on the budget. That we were supposed to have landmark for this year. Okay. And I didn't realize that until after I found the budget. But, it is, yeah, it's supposed to be quite a few buildings actually that need to be done. Like the Fox Theater, which we will talk to the Alliance about. The golf course clubhouse. The Kit Carson bandstand. The Waterworks building. And the Children's Museum.
So those were on the list
For this year.
that is carried over that we established as a commission in the last couple
What's
of
that?
years, right?
So the the waterworks building,
Mm-hmm.
that's historically preserved?
It's supposed to be landmark, but it's not.
Landmark?
Yeah, it was built in 1879.
Okay, cause like, there's tents and stuff behind it.
I know. I know.
Like, we can't have that, can we, if it is landmark?
We've been trying to, it isn't landmarked yet, that's the thing.
No, I'm saying if we do.
If we, yeah, if it gets landmarked,
What
it's
is the
gonna,
process of that, like?
we will, that will be something we'll have to talk to Public Works about. Because they've been trying to kick the people out, and we're having trouble with that. That's something City Council has been working on, trying to figure out what our proper steps are to keep
Yeah, I
the,
mean, they're smoking drugs and everything back there, and that's not cool.
no. And then we do, there was another we were gonna talk about incentive programs for the privately owned properties, like Temple Aaron and, the Opera House for landmarking those. Cause those aren't city buildings. But
So,
Now, can the people that own those buildings,
they can landmark them. That's,
they just haven't done that?
no.
But maybe that's something we could assist them with?
Yes, Opera House is owned by Dana Crawford.
Right.
So
let's, because that's
Okay.
why it's so helpful to have some historical, which I have very minimally, and I think there are others that have a lot more. And that is to say that, well, the understanding was that we were gonna try to landmark city-owned buildings first. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that approach, because we had control and the city was able to
Right.
manage those, they needed the least work, there were some other reasons given for that. So my only goal, or my thought, if we really, the only things that we have control over as a Historic Preservation Commission are locally landmarked buildings. When I say control, just meaning that we can, have oversight or manage and control their destiny, if you will. So local landmarking
Okay.
is really important. And there are two, and honestly, I didn't really get that for probably the first year I was on this commission. There's a lot of stuff I didn't get, and I still have tons to learn. But there are two videos on our website, on the city website, that I would highly recommend that everybody watch. I finally got around to watching one. This was from 2018. I don't know over times they were videotaping them, but they were information sessions that were provided. There was a speaker that talked about a range of things, but I think it really helped me to educate myself about what is the role of historic preservation. If we all really need to be understanding what the role is and educating ourselves, I'm saying this mostly to myself, so that we can be we can influence in a positive way the historic preservation in our community. So I would just say, please watch those. Carlos, we've talked, and I don't want to add this because you've already volunteered to do this other mailer, but when we had our quadrennial review from History Colorado, when the city had the quadrennial review last year, my understanding, I've never seen a written report, but was that the only real recommendation that the History Colorado made was to make sure that you had good public information on the website and that could be improved. So we're still trying to do that, but I don't want to get off topic too much. So if we are saying that we're going to look at this list of city-owned properties and we want to say we are going to definitely landmark at least 3 of these in 2024, just off the top of my head, then I think we need to really do that. So I see like this mailer, talk about echoes, and the landmarking is really kind of our priorities for this next year. It stays within our, sorry?
I thought we already voted on these, like the fire station, we voted on.
We did. Well, I don't know if we actually vote, but I knew there was a consensus about Kit Carson Bandstand, Children's Museum, Waterworks Building, Golf Course Clubhouse.
Those are the ones that are on the list from the budget from 2022. That was supposed to be for 2023.
Okay.
And those were the buildings that were
I
money
just want
was
to make sure we're
dedicated to.
keeping, we're not going off on another tangent with.
So what do we have to do?
Just how we
If
have,
we voted on it and passed it, and it's still sitting there, like what?
we would have to do the same things. We would need to, I didn't get like a packet like they do for anybody. I guess when the packet would need to be created with all the information, you guys would have to vote that it's landmarked, and then it has to go in front of city council. And it has to be presented to city council for them to landmark it.
So we would have to fill out.
It would need to be filled out,
By
and
somebody.
the steps, it would be the same steps that anybody off the street would have to do to in order.
Well-
Because it has to go in front of city council,
Right.
and present it to city council for them to vote.
So let's talk about what Derek's question is, the logistics of that though, is the actual application for landmarking for a city-owned building. The way those were done before, at least I think the city hall building, was that Chris Hall contracted with the historic preservationists, with the consultants, and they did all that work. I don't see a vision that the HPC is doing,
I
or
would,
even the staff. I mean, you're gonna do part of it or a lot of it, but that's not.
yeah, the fee that was given, that was benchmarked for the budget
Yes,
was $2,000, and it was $2,000 for the professional
for
report
each,
by,
for each landmark
for each
application.
landmark education.
$2,000 to pay a consultant to do it.
That's what that is.
So where is those funds and why?
It's on the budget, but they were never used.
So it rolled over.
Yeah, rolled over.
Can we take a quick detour and talk about budget then?
Right now, so the city gave no money to any board for this next year. But we had money that was earmarked, which you guys put together for a budget in 2022 for 2023. Not all that money was touched. The only thing that was touched was for echoes. So right now, the budget is sitting at $24,300.
What do you know about that?
That is money that is now earmarked just for historical preservation. But there's no added funds to it.
And do those funds expire at some point? I know that the
They
Arts
just-
Commission said that we have to use them by a certain date, otherwise they go.
Cheryl told me that this was earmarked for historical preservation and it's rolling over because there was no new money added.
Oh, okay.
So since
think
there
that's
is,
fine. Yeah.
since there is no
And
more.
I'm sure all
money,
commissions are probably the same way.
Probably, I'm not sure, I
I'll
just
have to
asked
check
for this.
it,
Now,
but-
she
okay,
said,
That's good to know.
now this is a rough because she hasn't finished completing everything for the budget. But she said that we only spent $5,200 last year, or for 2023, this year. So originally it was
So-
29,500.
So then the thing to do would be to call and consult those people and get them to work on this and spend that money.
The problem is that I don't believe the consult that we've been using is available anymore. And I think that's the reason might have been what
That
stopped
was,
everything.
what is her last name?
I'm not
Marishma?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to talk to Audra and find out because Chris left without a lot of word. So she did let us
There
know.
was a consultant, the same one that put together applications for, I think, both the library and the city hall building.
Yeah,
So, I'm assuming but it doesn't necessarily mean, I think we still need to do a consultant, we still need to go that route, but we need to figure out who
we
and
would need to
how
figure
much.
out who
And
and
how
how
many of these
cost.
buildings we want to prioritize.
I think that the three that you mentioned sound
Yes,
doable,
I think we need to do
I
it.
would say.
I would definitely say we keep with the list and then, like I said, I can talk to Audra and see if we can find any consultants.
Are these in any particular order? They're not as
No.
to desirability.
No, I think that's just the list that was put together
Gotcha.
originally. The ones on the end, Audra said that would be included because of the fact that they're out of
Right.
city limits. So,
I'll just make a quick comment on I guess it's called the Children's Museum, but it's actually the old firehouse.
Right.
Firehouse number 2, I think,
The one that's downtown
on
commercial.
commercial.
Marty Hackett, before we began the meeting, wanted to talk to us about that, so I don't know, I can maybe go try to grab her. But she was just there recently and she wanted to have some input about whether or not, I don't know about what kind of input, so, if we're gonna say 3, are we saying 3 for 2024, 3 buildings?
I say we do what we already,
So that would be 4, so we have bandstand, children's museum, waterworks,
Actually, it's 5 with the Fox Theater.
golf course and Fox Theater.
Now, see, Fox Theater, though, while it is a city building, it's got its own council, so they might be able to do the
I think
application
that- yeah.
themselves,
yeah, I think.
and we wouldn't have to do that.
Right.
And the
We
only,
need to talk to them first.
Yeah,
yes.
So-
Yes.
so I'd say we could keep them on the list and then just talk to
I
them.
swear I thought we did the fire station too.
I couldn't find anything, but like I said, I'm looking through
The one on
Chris's folders and stuff.
On the Fox, my recollection of the conversation around that was that, because there was so much construction, it was so in process and so unfinished. I think this was from Audra, don't quote me, she would know, that wasn't really a viable candidate necessarily. So we just need to be mindful in terms of conversations with Fox Theater folks and Audra so that we're all on the same page before we talk about what we're gonna focus on.
Yes,
We
not a
don't want
problem.
people, especially I think the Fox has got a huge number of stakeholders, and I think it's important to be respectful and mindful of, it's not just, it's everybody's opinion counts on that. So I'm gonna take a quick, you might wanna keep talking, I'm gonna just see if Marty's around, and she wants to talk about the Children's Museum.
Nope, not a problem. When I was for the landmarking, as you were talking before, the biggest thing is the tax credits that they get for property taxes. So that's why it's a benefit to push for landmarking of a building. It does help the pocket. It's also, you can get assistance. There is a lot of programs that are available if you landmark a building for help to do maintenance.
You can be outside of the district to get land.
Yes, but it has to be within the historical district, it doesn't have to be in the horizontal district. That's, as we just landmarked those 2 buildings down on the street, or Arizona.
So Marty, we have our list, and we're talking specifically about budget but we want to prioritize and city-owned buildings, and certainly the Children's Museum is on our radar. So did you have some input on
Well,
that?
I and Rosemary Shire and Deb met yesterday Chief Backrack let us into the Children's Museum. Haven't been in there for, probably 10 years, since my children were little and I used to take them there. And it's in such a state of disrepair and it's just dirty. A lot of the furnishings and everything on the displays that were originally there are still there. But nobody's taken care of them. Nobody's even been in there to see what's going on. And so it really kind of broke my heart. And I don't need another hat, but I'm going to throw on another hat. I really would like to see the Children's Museum active again. Now, I asked Chief Backrack why it was closed to begin with, and it was because of ADA accessibility. And you probably already know that.
I don't.
So, there happened to be a fireman that came from the Denver area that came into the Welcome Center when I was still a manager over there, and I mentioned that. And he said, well, the way we got through that was to photograph and record a video of the areas that are not accessible because they have to climb the stairs to see those displays upstairs. And so they put the video downstairs so anybody could see those displays upstairs. And that's how they overcame that ADA accessibility.
And about when did that occur?
I talked to him1 year ago. Anyway, so I kept it in the back of my mind. And when Ken Chapin mentioned that he was going to do a railroad exhibit as part of Smithsonian's change exhibit here, he's focusing a lot on trains. And I remember that there being a train display at the Children's Museum, so I said, well, let's go look. So that's the initial reason why we went to the Children's Museum, to see that.
Is there?
There's 3 pieces, and they're large pieces. There's an engine, a coal car, and a caboose. But they're in the basement and just on a shelf. So, I'm gonna see what we can do. The building is owned by the city, correct?
That's, yeah.
And so, I don't want to assume, but would that mean that everything in that would also be part of the city's? I know there's some private stuff that's labeled in there that belongs to, I think the last individual to run the museum was Jude Sears. I don't know if anybody knows who Jude Sears is, but he did run the the Children's Museum for quite some time. And Roberta Cordova was also.
When did it actually close?
I don't even know.
Like 5 years, 10 years?
Oh God, it's gotta be, I don't know, Tom, can you help me with that? How long has the Children's Museum been closed?
Long time.
Long
I know
time.
IBR.
Long time, that's not
Yeah,
what I
I
done.
don't. Long time.
That's all I got, I don't know.
So long do we not even know.
So if we landmarked it, would that make it easier for us to be able to get it reopened again?
I would assume so. I mean, I don't know.
Let
I
me
just
throw
know things
something
in town.
else in the mix, and that is, and this is, since it's, so I want to make sure we're staying on our agenda and we're not veering because that's important.
We kind of merged a few steps together, but that's okay.
So when we're talking about local landmarking, we're talking about the Children's Museum and what impact landmarking would have on that. The other piece of that is, and we can add this to an agenda and have more conversation about it, is that the Trinidad Historical Society, and I've brought this up before, has apparently forever wanted to have a heritage center like other cities in our area have. And would this be a location for such a heritage center? So I think we can have some discussion about that and move that forward and have that actually part of a regular meeting agenda. But it seems like there's some things converging that way.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some connection.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring it up because I think there may be the possibility of it being, part of your conversations in the future as, a preserved site, and what can we do to, I don't know, get it open or clean it up, or, I'll do the, dirty work. I will go in there, I will take my broom and stuff.
And
There
I'm
needs to
actually,
be an inventory of, go ahead.
I was saying, I'm actually trying to start a railroad museum and model train club in Trinidad. And so there's a lot of crossover there with the children's museum.
Is there anything preventing us at this point from going in and doing that and cleaning it up and just like taking an inventory of what's there?
Not that I'm
Since
aware
it's,
of.
since it's a city property, I mean,
Well, I'm sure there's steps that we have to take,
but
for sure.
that might be something that we could just do anyway and get, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that would love to help out with
Yeah,
a project
roll up
like
our
that. and
sleeves,
clean.
go in.
Yeah,
I think probably the first thing before we even start cleaning would be to start an inventory.
oh,
so
for sure.
Things don't start walking out the door.
Right, yeah,
In
exactly.
fact, things have already walked out the door.
Uh-huh.
I brought in a tote full of photos that are firemen.
Oh.
And that Chief Backrack asked that we could catalog and eventually maybe they could use them over at the fire
Oh,
stations.
nice.
Or, display somewhere. So Deb and I will be cataloging those and maybe taking them to Frank Images. I'm sure, I don't know his son's name. Is it Jason?
Jason,
Jason, Frank, and see if he can reproduce those for us.
Well, I'm wondering in that, because that would be, I think, wonderful to have someone who's like gonna, maybe charge for this, Marty.
Greg
but-
Shahar.
But I think, yeah, because you've got history there as well, but I think we need to also, so if we could bring this back to
Yes.
Miss Audra and make sure that, we're all on the same page about what we're thinking and what we want to do. We can move this forward as an item for our next regular meeting.
Okay.
So Children's Museum as, landmarking, we can do that. We can talk about, is this a potential heritage center site, but we need to coordinate and be respectful of the Trinidad Historical Society, which has worked forever on a lot of these issues, and make sure that they're looped into that process. So I think we could, doing that together would make sense.
Well, I knew there was some tiny little steps that needed to be taken to at least
Yeah.
let people know what, could be done, should be done. And so I thought, since you guys were here today, I'd start with you.
Well, we appreciate bringing it. So I don't know, between Tara and Marty, if you guys kind of want to visit with Audra and kind of make sure that we're.
Yeah,
We're
we
cool.
can do that. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Alrighty, the process is the same for landmarking. You have to review the applications, background information. We have to confirm that all of the documents are complete. For historic landmarking, the building must be 50 years old, historical importance, or agriculture, I can talk. Geographic importance, and that the building is of importance. Since I can't say that word today.
Architecture.
Yeah, there you go. The steps are the same as for the CO, except for the last step. So when you vote and you approve it, it has to go in front of the city council next. So we only approve that it can be a landmark, then they have to go in front of city council and get approval from city council in order to take the last step and become landmarked. So the two that you guys did last month are going in front of city council tonight in order to be approved as a landmark. So, just an added step.
I have a question. Does a property have to be within the district to be a local landmark?
And it has to be within the district, the historic district. It doesn't have to be just in front of, or in the Corzon district, but it has to be within the historical district. And if you saw on the map, there's two lines, that first one is the Corzon district,
I see.
and then
So
the slightly
the
bigger
red
one is
Okay.
the historic district.
So any building like outside of that could not be a local landmark?
No,
Okay.
That
That seems unusual.
it does, because there's a whole lot of other,
I
anyway, that's neither
well,
here nor
you
there right
can
now.
be, so, like I said, the steps are, you have to be 50 years old.
Yeah.
If it can it can prove, you guys can approve it if it can prove and it meets those criteria. So if it's 50 years old, if it's a historic,
Gotcha.
generally it's just a rule of thumb that it needs to be within the historic district.
Okay.
Just because generally anything further out
not as old or.
Not, yeah, it's not as historic.
But there are lots of other buildings out
Yeah,
there.
There
Other
are,
buildings are
yeah, so I
very old.
think it's not
Okay.
a requirement.
Not a requirement,
Okay,
just tends to
it's
be
a guideline more than,
So if you
okay,
look at the surveys, another bit of homework that is really important is to look at those surveys that we have. You should have copies of in your binders, or it's online at the city website that shows the most recent survey of all the properties.
Yeah, the last survey was done in 2021.
Yeah. So those are important, and we need to get to those at some
yeah.
point.
And
I've got a
I
copy
think
of it.
outside of the historic district just doesn't, we don't have very many older buildings out there that are still standing.
Well, we have the whole Trinidad campus,
Well,
we
there's
have.
Colorado
That's
Avenue
actually still
too.
within.
There's a bunch of old houses for sure, yeah.
But, you know, we did, it wasn't our decision, so
Yeah.
we have to
yeah.
work with the parameters we have.
Yeah, but well, I'm getting the bottom line is that we can consider a
Yeah,
building
if
outside
they
of
bring them,
it,
if
as
they
long as
bring
it
them
meets
and
the
they
other
meet,
requirements.
yeah, they meet those
Yeah.
first requirements, the 50 years old
Gotcha.
and
Yes.
shows the historical significance.
Various types.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then again, it's just, these are the ordinances that we use. So it's the 14-166C, and that shows the local landmark distinctions. And then, let's see, it's a long one. Goes, then it's this one shows that, it shows the importance of the building, the history, and then geographic importance too. And it said any site listed on the state or national registry of historical places. So
But they still need to apply.
they have to apply. That's the first step, we can get them to apply. And then this is a building that Audra suggested we might want to look at too. For
No, we did that one.
We did do Fort Wooten.
Yeah,
Is it?
Yeah.
Audra
Yes.
didn't have
it's
one
on
of those.
it's on the map.
Well,
Well,
we
no,
are,
As a blue-
as a
as-
landmark.
Yes,
already
a
landmarked it.
historic landmark, a local,
Yeah.
we
not
have
on the
done
national.
that.
Okay,
It is local.
Audra knows it wasn't listed.
Yeah,
okay.
that was
That's
the
what I
last one we did, so thank you for reminding me, I had almost forgotten. So and I think they have their plaque and all that, but we never did any kind of a
Regular series.
That might be one
ceremony
or
or anything.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We
We
needed.
got invited though.
Alrighty, that's the last of my slideshows, and we have done we did go for the budget.
Yeah, so if we have, just to put a cap on it, because we'll try to get through the rest of our stuff by, I think we said by 1 o'clock, so. We will
That's
do
an hour
that.
fast though.
Yeah.
That's an hour fast.
Is
Oh,
that?
that's right.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
we're
right.
doing good.
Way more
I,
time.
Yeah,
I was thinking it was
No,
so
no,
long. This hour thing is messing me up. Okay, so the budget, I went and talked to Cheryl and sat down with her and went over it. So as I said, all boards and commissions, they weren't given any money this year because of the marijuana money has been really low. But she said,
Gone.
Thank God we saved some.
yes, we did save some, so that's why ours rolled over.
Yay.
So, she said this is a rough one, because like I said, she's still going through the budget and getting all of it up from this year. She said we were sitting at 24,300. And, so that can be used for the Echoes, event for next year. And then, for the landmarking, if we want to go forward with these, if we can find a consultant.
So we're thinking about 2,000 for each
That's
landmark
what-
application, we'll just say rough.
Yeah, that's what you guys had roughed
So
out.
it's 10,000?
Well, 2 times 4 is 8, right?
Oh, I thought you said 5.
Well, that's if the Fox Theater is,
Oh,
I
I'm
think-
not sure.
we'll have to talk to the Lions on that
But
one.
we'll say 8 to 10
So, okay.
for landmarking, go ahead, sorry.
No, and then that would leave the rest for, Echoes or, anything like that. How we wanna do, what we're gonna think. I guess this last year you guys spent 5,200 for Echoes.
Okay, I was wondering.
That's what Cheryl said.
My question about fundraising was for the Echoes event, so.
And that's what I asked about that too myself, because when I first was speaking about the budget, I was told we didn't get any money. And I was like, well, no, so what do we do? Can we fundraise as a commission to put towards our echoes? And nobody can give me an answer. So I will bring it up with Audra and Steve again and see if we are able to, if we want to, if we're going to.
Well, Steve answered it.
I say,
Yes.
He said yes.
Yeah.
That's what,
I think as a general proposition that we can, but this is also again part of this larger discussion. We have some money,
Yeah,
but
just in case
why,
we
I mean,
need
we
more.
could do fundraising if you guys think that that's something that we
Well,
need to do.
like, for example, I wanted last year to bring Spencer Haywood, but I didn't bring that to the budget because I'm like, that's $3,000.
Well,
But if we go talk to the college who he played for, you know, and say, hey, like, can we get together and get this thing going, you know?
It depends on what we want to do for the
Right.
Echoes this year, I mean, for
Right.
this next year. What, are we going to go with the baseball game again, or? Yeah.
well, let's talk about that. I mean, and this is a commission decision, it's not necessarily, you know, and this is all related. I mean, in terms of next year, who's gonna take over as chair, who's gonna stay on the commission, what we wanna do with echoes and all of those things, so. Is there anything else that you wanted to say, Carol, about the budget?
No, like I said, she said this is a rough estimate, just because of the fact that she's just now still going through 2023 to make sure that there's no more invoices out or anything like that she hasn't gotten to yet. So she hasn't gotten to historical preservation yet, she's still working on the top of the list.
So do you think I don't wanna assume that we have money, but
She said that we have it, we just don't, she said we have it, she just said we don't, she's not 100% sure on the number. So she said she'll get that to me as soon as she can.
So I feel like, and again, and everybody chime in, that bottom line, that our most important priority is to landmark some buildings. Yes, we want to do outreach, but our fundamental role, sticking to our duties as outlined in our municipal code, and as a certified local government, and how we can forward historic preservation in Trinidad in the best interest of the city is to do at a minimum landmarking, local landmarking.
Yeah,
I mean, if we couldn't do anything else, I'm not saying we can't, but we need to.
but that should be our priority,
Yeah,
because that's what,
Because-
okay.
and I'm not, we'll talk some more about echoes. When we did this last year, it was well done, mostly because we had Jean Alicio, who was our extraordinary event planner, who did work on this for basically nothing because she was on the commission. She spent hundreds of hours putting that together. Of course, we all helped, but she was really primarily responsible for having what you saw in that footage, and what you'll see more of, and, as we go down the road. But, and initially, just for the record, I was the one who wanted and emphasized the need to do outreach. So, hearing me discouraging any kind of outreach is absolutely not the message that I'm sending. And I'm only one person, but I don't want to spend 6, 9 months, whatever, most of the year planning an event and not doing anything else. Because that was, to some extent, what happened last year.
I think the event though helps with outreach too, I mean.
Oh, no, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same, it's very important.
And now that we've got the videos and the clips, we can use that even for more outreach,
Yes.
depending on how we use it.
I just want to put that out there as a caveat to what the commission wants to do in terms of planning echoes for this next year.
And
But not to have it absorb all of our time, we have many planning meetings. I mean, I was there for that, you guys were not, Derek was there as well. And Carlos for part of it. So not only the planning, but the execution of it was very time consuming, very energy consuming. to me, totally cool and worthwhile, and I'm so happy about it. I'm so grateful to Jean. But I don't know that as a commission that that's what kind of the business that we're in as event planners. I would love it if we could, figure out a way to do Echoes as a joint venture with Historic Main Street. With this group, we did work certainly with Kim Schultz with the Triggers last year. So if there's a planning group that wants to convene, a small planning group that wants to take responsibility, and then we provide maybe some funding through the HPC budget, and do something cool again in 2024, maybe that's an option. I just personally, my vote is not for us to take that on ourselves as a handful of people. And that's too much.
I think we should have run for it. I think we did a great job last year.
We don't have, I agree, so I've made my case, I'm not gonna, it's not anything I'm gonna argue about.
It is public outreach, and like the video said, we're gonna draw attention to ourselves with that video. The mayor came in, spoke, and said that this was a great event. So I don't think we should run from that.
Nobody's running from it.
Well, I don't think we should be afraid of not planning. That's what I'm saying.
I think that there should be somebody, I have spare time in my life, but I'm also doing other things too. And I think that if we use some of that money to hire somebody to plan the event for us, and get our feedback and arrange all those other details that are so time consuming, that would be a really good idea if we were going to go forward with 2024. Now, I don't, of course I'm new, so I don't know what happened last year, but I'm kind of thinking that might be the way to go. Give them a stipend or something to organize this.
Well, I know as far as the triggers aspect, I am in talks with Kim already. And what we were thinking was, because of the turnout last year, how it was embarrassing to see how many people actually showed up to that game.
There weren't very many, I was there.
No,
Yeah.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So what we were thinking this year was we were gonna reach out to Raton.
Yeah.
The Raton first responders versus the Trinidad first responders with the triggers, maybe coaching or playing in. We already have the stuff for it.
I think we just need to back up though and say, because none of us have said as a commission that we're gonna do another game. That was never agreed upon.
Yeah, it was. It was when we bought the things, we said we can do this.
Well,
and
we could do it, but it was never.
Well,
so,
we can still vote upon it.
Right.
Whatever. But I'm just saying, we have the uniforms, we have everything. We have the triggers who are willing to do it, we have the first responders who are willing to play. So, we just have
I feel like, it depends on what, I'm gonna have to just say, I want the group to weigh in on this. That's a kind of a narrow, it's cool, it was great that we did it, but I don't want to necessarily say, oh, we're gonna do this thing every year. I think we need to do outreach that makes sense for the community as a whole, and I don't know, is that really what everybody wants to do? Is to do it the way we did it last year?
That's a vote.
Well, it's a discussion first, and then at some point, yes, a vote.
Right, you already know how I feel, so.
I
That's just a
wasn't,
vote, yeah.
I didn't go to the thing last year. I did watch the videos, and that's about, to consider the context I have for it. But one thing I'd say is I feel like, I don't know, I didn't know about that event even happening. A lot of people I've asked about, told about, like, oh, no one really knew that it even happened. So I think there's a lot of, and this is I think a general problem with Trinidad and events in general, is that I don't know what the solution is, but there needs to be more kind of pretty active advertising and promotion of, like, multiple channels to really get the word out there, because I don't know, the attendance was of Echoes was last year, but
It was wonderful.
the attendance was good.
Well, I don't know what the numbers were, so what I passed out to you is what Jean
Yeah.
submitted. It was her official evaluation, what she thought, which was super cool of her to do. Kind of how things went, what we could improve. On page 3, things that need improving, pre-event. You know, what's the role of the city staff, defining more concisely the role of city staff in pre-event marketing, and then sending thank yous. So, and I don't want to, I mean, this, you know, is an unfortunate turn that this conversation takes, because it is not a criticism of Jean or the event. The event was great, but it was a lot of work, and the attendance was, it was good. We had more, I think, a lot of out-of-town folks. We didn't keep track. We didn't have the exact numbers. You know, that's something that we could do differently. But the other part that's, you know, and I also don't want to belabor, is there was a lot of heartburn about the city staff's role, about who was on first, doing all of that stuff, about who was going to get paid for what. I don't want to deal with that. I'm not going to deal with that. I personally will not deal with that.
I think with any event, and no event is easy to plan. There is no such thing as easy to plan.
Right.
That's the reason why there are event planners. But if we can find one person that is willing to do the work, I don't see why we shouldn't opt for it. For what Chris said, that there was a larger turnout this year than there was last year.
Oh, absolutely, then the first time we did, yes, we've done 2. We did
Okay.
one that was very modest at the History Museum and at Tom's Place at Chappelle House the first year. And then last year it was here, and it was bigger.
She said that the turnout was higher this year.
Yes, it was.
So I don't see why doing a little effort for a third year wouldn't be, and like I said, it did bring out, a lot of people loved listening to people talk about the historical buildings, and
Absolutely.
so, and I thought that was a good outreach to bring people in,
Yes.
maybe, you know, have everybody get to learn about the Fox and the,
Absolutely.
And if we would have actually gotten the tickets from Kim, there would have been a lot more turnout at that baseball game. But nobody got the tickets that they were promised.
I don't even know any about, I don't know, I mean, there were things that were, a lot of
It was-
moving parts to it that I knew nothing about. And as a chair, that was also a level of discomfort on my part. Not to say, I mean, as you said, events are just, they kind of are what they are. And I roll with it, and I would roll with whatever we decided to do. But I just don't want to paint a really rosy picture, because there were things that we needed to learn from. If we could pay an event coordinator, yeah.
we could
Or
just,
we can figure out a way to truly, last year we tried to coordinate, I did my very best to get Miners Museum, to get Historic Main Street, to make sure that we were all working together so that we weren't working in isolation. That doesn't make any sense. There's all these other entities in our community who care about historic preservation in Trinidad. Absolutely, we should do a community event. But how that's done and who's gonna lead it and
Did-
who's a member of that collaboration?
Did they participate last
A
time?
little bit. Historic Main Street was, there were some glitches there.
we just need to have better communication, and I mean, going forward, we could do that easily. If we plan it well enough, it shouldn't be a problem.
I wonder if, I'm not sure if
I just want to second what Elizabeth is saying. Yeah, I mean, I felt kind of the same way last year, that we put so much time in just trying to figure out how to organize this, that we lost track of what we were supposed to be doing and supposed to be saving and landmarking buildings. I mean, I know I didn't attend the event because I was out of town, but from everything I thought, it looked like a great event. I don't think we should not put on the event.
Right, I agree.
But the level of time and resources that we put towards that event, I think was kind of excessive.
Yes.
And, you know, I think we should definitely do that, but I think we should definitely limit the conversations every week or every month for the event to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, not 45 minutes, not 50 minutes of the meeting, because we have other business to take care of. I mean, it is important that we get the community involved and that we create an event. But if it's gonna overshadow everything that we're really trying to do, then I don't think that we're really creating something that's meaningful to the community, because we're not even doing the other part that we're supposed to be doing.
It's a cost benefit thing, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
And I'm not saying
those
it was
lands.
bad, I'm not saying everything wasn't really planned out well, it was planned out well, but that's the thing, is that we gotta like kind of pull back from making this commission just a planning commission and actually like do some work too, you know?
Honestly.
That kind of soured me last year a little bit, so I was like, man, like I wanted to do some stuff here, I wanted to try to get some buildings saved, I wanted to try to, it just seemed like every week that's all we were talking about. What's this event, what's the event, and then the meeting with them, and I was like, all right, well, I guess we're not doing any of that stuff today, so.
No,
Just my 2 cents.
yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. I think Chris had a comment.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know the full scope of what the event entailed last year, but maybe one possibility would be to just limit the scope more, if it was something we took on ourselves, to just historic buildings and focus on that. I know last year, like, it's cool, the baseball game and the reenactors, that's very cool. I have, a lot of cool ideas for historical conferences, things like that, but if it was just a historical preservation thing, it seems like we would focus on just the buildings that we're focusing on. And if I like the idea of a larger scoped event, and maybe there's if we don't do something just ourselves, try to do something that, like we're talking about with a consultant, whatever, and maybe have our commission just be one part of a larger, I know this is like making a whole big, other event, but like try to get the Trinidad Historical Society, other groups together to have a larger history themed event where our part is just building preservation.
Well, this is the 150th year of Colorado statehood.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to have a larger, it's like making more work than we're talking about from this, but it would be, like I said, it would be a collaboration between multiple organizations where maybe we have this event coordinator kind of coordinate that, and we have some input, but that's obviously a big deal. But going to the when you talk about the 150th anniversary, it would definitely make sense to try to do something along with that. And
I think we're just talking about the scopes. We're not saying.
yeah.
I think we're all in agreement. We want to do something. We definitely want to do an outreach event. We call it Echoes for short. In 2024, when, how, where, all of that needs to be determined. So, I'm kind of just open to I just think that the scope needs to be defined, and that we need to really stay laser focused on, and this is I'll take responsibility, because I'm like, gosh, we want to collaborate with everybody, we want to make sure, because there was a little bit of an underlying current of saying, historic preservation is one way to bring a community together, newcomers and old-timers, and, is there a way to bridge that gap and have it have even sort of another function or purpose in our community, which I think is still noble and worthwhile, but it's also, it does take a lot of energy and a lot of time to do that. I just want to be realistic about it. Tara, I haven't let you say much hardly at all here in the last minute.
Like I said, the events are going to be hard to plan anything. It's just events, but I don't think having a problem having a person in charge of it, paying a little bit to be the one that head everything and handle all the small details. I don't see that as an issue.
So we would have enough to do that if we spend, let's say we have, let's really lowball, let's say we have $20,000 in our budget, and we've spent 10 on landmark, and we had 10 remaining. this is supposed to be for 2 years that we want this money to last? We
I'm
want
not
to
sure,
roll it all in one.
they're not giving any, we don't have any say on whether or not next year what we're gonna look at.
So maybe it's a matter of budget, you know, if we said, and I'm just throwing stuff out, so, you know, whatever people wanna.
Fundraising wouldn't be a horrible idea, to
No.
maybe fundraise to get our budget a little bit bigger for next year or the following year.
I agree.
We can come up with some
We have
ideas.
a donation, we were gonna do this last year, but we didn't get to it, like a donation basis, admission for whatever event, you know, people donate, we donate to the Historic Preservation Commission. Just as a intersection with our crossroads thing that we've talked about. So we're gonna use our footage from last year, right? We're gonna have a short that Jeff Montoya shot that you guys saw part of at the meeting. And those are gonna become part of the Crossroads Smithsonian exhibition and companion exhibit that they're gonna show these little shorts during that, the duration of that exhibition. So that'll be good, but they can be that cross-promoting either Echoes 24, and we're gonna do the full-length screening premiere of the Crossroads. I'm jumping to that item, but it's related. Of the full-length Echoes from 2023, I think that what Ken Chapin from Crossroads and Jeff Montoya are working on is looking at January to do a screening at Tri-Peak, at the theater where they would have good, you know, audio-visual and all that stuff. We could do some panels there, we could go something around that, but where was I going with that? Just so that in and of itself, if it does occur in January, I'm not saying this would replace Echoes, I'm just saying that this could be, that is community outreach that we will be doing as part of the Historic Preservation Commission, vis-a-vis using that footage for this screening at Tri-Peak, probably sometime in January on a Saturday afternoon. And we could have some folks who appear in that footage to do a panel afterwards about, you know, kind of, we need to talk about that as a group and how you guys think that should look. So that is something that's already kind of on the calendar for community outreach.
Well, perhaps this year, we just scale it down a little bit, and we have the footage from last year that we can use again for this year, and have people view that at what is it called?
Tri-Peak,
No, the event in,
the Smithsonian.
no, the one that we did.
Echoes.
Echoes?
Echoes, God.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you, sorry. And somehow let them know what we've done over the years and what we're working on, and inform the community that way, and maybe have a panel, a couple panels, and just maybe scale back. Maybe it's only one day, and you know, just I don't know, just an idea.
I think about resources that we already have is kind of what I think about in generally, you know, in my life, about use what you have,
Right.
decorating or recycling or, you know, or whatever coordination we're doing with Crossroads. We have in our archives a lot of material. We have this whole 2021 survey that was done, we paid good money for, the city of Trinidad did. You know, you could do a tour of some of those structures, whether they're residences. We could put something together with the college. We can do stuff that's already there. We don't have to recreate some big event. We could use, I guess what I'm trying to say is we have these resources, we have these buildings, and we want, how can we make the best use, how can we elevate them in a way that makes sense, that brings the community in. We didn't have a lot of Trinidadians, from my understanding, at our event. We had a lot of people from the Western Slope, we had people from Denver, we had some locals, I don't know how many. but is there another way that you actually engage people who lived here for all their lives and maybe don't see this gems like Steve talked about? When people come here for the first time and they go, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
you know, look at this place. I mean,
Is there some kind of a walking tour, podcast sort of thing, or brochure, is there, that exists already?
Yeah.
Yeah? Where does that, I guess?
right, and what are we doing with that?
That's not even ours, though, that's.
It is, the tourism board did that, it's a digitized walking tour based on Trinidad Historical Society's really cool, thorough yellow book that they
We
did.
utilized it in our event.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
Right, so
You can
there's
see
things
it
that
on the
we haven't even done yet, that are really basic, like
Yeah,
walking.
and see, some things like that, I mean, it's on the website, but people don't know that it's on the website.
Well, I would
You
love,
know, so how do you get that information that this information is on the
Like-
website?
like what we did in San Luis. That was beautiful.
It was beautiful, I totally with you
That
on
was
that.
wonderful.
Yes,
We don't have to do an event like we did last year.
And I think it might be nice if it was different than last year's too, you know, and give people something a little twist.
that's my preference.
Yeah, I think, you
Sure.
know, mix it up a little bit, and so they're not like, oh, they're just gonna show that same old
Exactly,
footage.
I don't necessarily want to do a lecture,
And-
not that was a bad
And
format.
if it was
great.
more interactive, that'd be great
Yeah.
too. And
You
plus
just
by
set
then,
it
I think, I'm sorry, that we're to be doing the city park and the grandstand, and that's on the list. And maybe that could
That's the
be,
baseball.
yeah, exactly.
That's
You mean the
And did that cost, how much?
bandstand you're talking
Not the
about?
bandstand, I'm talking about the.
Central Park.
Central Park.
No, he's talking about Kit Carson.
No, I'm talking about the grandstand.
It's the Kit Carson grandstand stand.
Oh, it's not, okay,
It's
never
okay.
mind.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But maybe.
Forget I said
maybe- well, so maybe part of the event is if we get landmarks before,
Yes.
then have ribbon cutting and a
Oh,
big,
yeah, if we
you
could
know,
get, if we could get some of these done by, you know, the time we do that,
Yes.
and coordinate them, and
Yes.
it might be a lot of work, but.
Central Park Grandstand is on here,
Central
but it's-
Park.
it's not one of the 4 that we talked about.
No, it's not, but it's on
But
there.
it's on there, but we could maybe make that.
No,
No, Central Park Grandstand.
oh, it's this part.
Yeah. So if we, because it's being redone.
redone.
Yeah,
And we
So
could
maybe-
celebrate that, for sure, because it's, yeah.
I love that idea.
I see the connection now to that, and I
Yeah.
wasn't really seeing the connection before, so I do appreciate what you said. And bring it
If
to
we
our
can
attention.
create an event that celebrates stuff that we're already doing and need to do, which are these landmarks, one or more, maybe if we could try to get 3 done by whenever we decide we want to do Echoes. It doesn't have to be in June, it could be in next September, I don't know, something, you know, just talking out
Isn't
loud.
that the Santa Fe Trail Days?
Yeah.
150th
city's
anniversary?
taking over that too,
Oh, I
yeah.
bet.
No, we're
And
not.
maybe we combine with Santa Fe Trail Days.
Oh, now you know that, and the 150th anniversary Santa Fe Trail Days,
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
city celebrating. We
Yeah.
break out all the historic stuff that we're doing in town.
Yep.
That might be a
Yep,
really
yep,
good
yep.
That's
time.
exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this expands it too much, but I've had this idea, and it ties into this, but I don't know if it would be within this scope or not, but trying to reach out to all the small museums that are kind of within 100 miles of here. There's the Raton Museum, there's Santa Fe Trail Museum in New Mexico,
City
there's,
Friends Museum
which one?
in
Yeah,
Raton.
Friends, Francisco Fort, Otero Museum. There's one in the Panhandle of Oklahoma I'm gonna go try to check out. But my thought is, you know, try to frame Trinidad as, you know, because it historically was very much a crossroads city center, but try to reach out to these different museums or maybe historical organizations, you know, whatever, societies, and first like gauge their interest, but maybe have different levels or different ways they could participate in either bringing someone here to give us, you know, a lecture or a traveling exhibit, something that is very special about their museum that they bring here, or something like that. But that's just a general idea that I think about that kind of ties into this idea if we're talking about Santa Fe Trail and a big celebration and all this.
When is Santa Fe Trail Days about?
Usually it's in September,
September, first
Around the
part,
middle of September?
middle of
Towards
September.
the end.
usually towards the end.
Okay.
No, because it's before Chili Festival, so I think it's the beginning of September.
But really, the anniversary is not until 2025, so maybe that would be something. And it's maybe a bigger thing.
Oh,
It
okay.
might take longer to plan, but maybe put that out there as like a goal for 2025.
I like the idea of trying to stay really hyper-focused on historic preservation,
Mhm.
including cultural preservation, but having it be really, who are we? We're historic preservation, we're not everything to everybody, we're historic preservation. And
Right.
if we could use the buildings that we have landmarked as a basis, and we don't have to have all of this planned out or thought out now, and have that celebration around the same time as Santa Fe Trail Days. It wouldn't be part of it necessarily, maybe not, I don't know.
But just in conjunction or something?
Yeah, but we could ask if we can we use the bus,
Yeah, as long as we talk to them ahead of time, that we're
not the
ready.
trolley, but the bus, the passenger bus that the city bought.
The van?
The van.
So it's a little smaller.
You know, and have a
How many
tour, like we did in San Luis, where we take people around and we have like a little mini event, each one of those landmark sites. Have it be one day or, yeah, about one day. Does that sound juicy enough to you guys, or?
That sounds like, I like that. Yeah.
I think
I
we,
mean, and 10 people's not a bad crowd, but if there was the trolley too, I mean, that might be just kind of nice too. But you have to have a driver for that.
our issue with the trolley is
Yeah.
having a driver. It has to be a CDL person, and,
That's why I avoided saying
yeah, we're
trolley.
having issues getting that. But
Right.
no, I don't see that as being a bad, and have it just at each site, we could do a history and the reason why it was landmarked, and a ribbon cutting maybe to show that the plaque was being put on.
I'm thinking when we started talking along those lines, I'm thinking of the Kit Carson Bandstand in September. And
Yeah.
I mean, that park is a gem. And to be able to have some kind of picnic or some other kind of celebratory activity
We're gonna get
there.
rid of the graffiti?
Pardon?
We're gonna get rid of the graffiti?
What graffiti?
That's tacked up on those?
I haven't seen it lately.
Oh, you haven't?
On the
Yeah, I've been
bandstand?
having issues trying to
Of
keep it
course.
clean.
There's homeless living in it. and-
That's
Well, I've not seen any people, unhoused people there lately, but I know in the past.
Yeah, I walk by it every day.
Yeah.
I think something similar to that would be a good idea. And honestly, if we can get it landmarked over, get the new Central Park, that would be an awesome one to get landmarked and all done. It should be done by then,
Mhm.
all the work on it. 'Cause
Right.
They already
Yeah,
started.
Because they're already gonna have their season by then, so. So-
Yeah, their goal is to get it done before the trigger season starts.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what she was talking about, Raton, bring the Raton in because that's where they're gonna be practicing.
Ah,
Explains why they're trying to rush to get done.
yeah.
But we could be shooting for our event to be in September, correct? Or not? Around the same time as Santa Fe Trail Days.
No, wait a second.
Yeah, but also, there's also the whole grant stuff.
Well, we can do a couple, it doesn't have to be.
That's true.
We could.
That's true.
We could.
We could still have an event out there.
We
If we tried to get that and Kit Carson.
If we say we're gonna do these two landmark sites, one at Central Park,
Yeah,
one at Kit Carson, and, do them at different times so that
Yeah.
it makes it special,
right.
I think that would be awesome.
I think that would be awesome. And then maybe during Santa Fe Trail Days, do the tour also, the tour thing too.
The walking tour.
Or the-
Actually, Santa Fe Trail Days is generally June.
June?
That's right, because it was this year.
June
Yeah,
17th and 18th.
Oh.
Was-
yes. Right.
I thought it was in September.
I did too.
Because remember we bumped into it last
strange.
year, that's right, it's in June.
Yeah, June 17th and 18th
I need to take a look.
is 2022.
So let's take 5 minute break and then we'll come back and try to finish up. Oh.
But I think we need to still try
I think we've already touched on everything. The only thing left is your historic preservation
City Council? No. You were over there last time. No, you were up at front when I presented over at City Hall. That's where it is. And last time I saw you, I think you were sitting right there filming something.
I just try to be very,
He's just like a mouse. He's a mouse. He's an elf on the shelf.
you don't even see me.
Just Tom. So, do we just want to talk about the Echoes part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and Crossroads and Echoes, yes.
Yeah, so Smithsonian, big picture, Crossroads. Our first event is a film screening on November 17th of 5 states of Colorado. And our last Smithsonian event is January 24th, which is an opportunity fair here. So we have a lot going on. And I won't bore you with all of the exciting events and exhibitions that we have going on, but they are exciting. The thing that we're talking about today specifically is the Echoes. Are you calling it a documentary that Jeff is?
I don't know where we went, because I've been struggling with that too.
I guess it would be,
Echo, what do you call it? It's a film of an event. It's a film event. I don't know.
It's a documentary, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess it would be a technically it's a documentary.
Okay, but that's
It's
helpful
probably
because now.
more descriptive term.
It's an advertisement for training.
Yeah. All right. So an
It's kind of a recap of the event too, in some ways.
Yeah, like an mentory.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, an
Maybe hash
infomentary.
that out.
I like that.
Yeah, we can hash out the
That's a
fonts
new
of
one.
that.
Infomentary. I like it.
So there's two things that we were exploring, trying to do with this particular piece of content. One was creating an opportunity to show it in its entirety within the context of the Smithsonian Crossroads while we have it, and then little 5-minute clips throughout the Smithsonian. So we'll take the first one, the in its entirety. So I just got off the phone with Jason from Jason. Jason and Jeff, a little Zoom meeting over there. And what we're looking at is a January 6th screening of the film in its entirety, which is a Saturday, which doesn't interfere with anything else that they have going on, but is within our Smithsonian window. And that would be from 12 until 2. And so that's the proposed screening for that. If this is the proper time to get a thumbs up and have that be a done deal.
You guys
I'd love
good with
to-
that?
Sure.
You good?
All right, so now for the icing part of it. Jeff is, without increasing his scope of work and any agreements that he has with you, that 30-second trailer that he's putting together, just negotiated with Tri-Peaks. They're going to become an in-kind sponsor for Smithsonian, and in exchange for what we're giving them for that in-kind sponsorship, they're going to be showing that 30-second trailer leading up to that event. So, because the idea is how do we mark, butts and seats, which is always question number 2, but priority number 1, right? So Jeff is going to create, you may have already gotten nauseated by the number of Smithsonian related events that I've been putting out on Facebook through the Creative District. So Jeff is creating the Facebook event cover imagery for that. It'll be pushed out through the Creative District as part of the calendar of events for the Smithsonian. And so that'll happen. And then your info documentary, that 30-second trailer at the end of that will have your logo alongside of the Smithsonian logo and the Colorado Humanities logo, which are criteria that we have to adhere to. So we're following the Smithsonian rules, and we'll be adding whatever your logo is to that at the end of that trailer. So it looks like Smithsonian and historic preservation, went to kindergarten together. So that's the way the branding of that will look out into the world. And because we've been able to hash this out, we're creating a Smithsonian, I just call it the Smith Fest because it's just short. It's just shorthand for me. We're creating a calendar of events of which now this film will be on our official Smithsonian calendar of events. And that calendar is getting printed and inserted into the Weekender. So that'll be 1,500 copies going out to there, and also into the journal, which is another 2,700 copies. So your event, your film, and your logo will be spread around Huerfano, Los Angeles, and Colfax County, basically up to Raton. But that's the brand exposure that you'll get as a result of coming on board with this. So, and then there are other things that we'll be doing. In addition to the event posts, you'll also get nauseated by the daily social media posts that I'm doing for, here's our event, or like this morning's was, we got some display cases from Trinidad State, and Mount Carmel lent us their box truck with the lift. And if you just go to my Facebook page, you'll see the kinds of things that we're posting, just basically plugging everybody and thanking everybody that is moving a mountain or a grain of sand. Everybody is gonna be on the receiving end of our gratitude, because we have a lot of gratitude because there is a lot going on. So that's how we're going to treat the work that you commissioned through Jeff. That's how it'll be represented in the public. And then these 4 cubicles back here. One of the things that we inherited as part of Smithsonian is what there's an organization out in Paonia that got funding to do a project called Story Share, which is there's a theater troupe, it's called Playback Theater out of Boulder. They're sort of a responsive improvisational theater troupe. What we've done is we've interviewed 3 members of our community who, the Smithsonian Crossroads thing is all about exploring change in rural America, and one of the ways that we're articulating change in our community is through 3 interviews. And so those 3 interviews are being paired with an artist of different medium and a writer, maybe a poet, maybe whatever it is that they do. They get to watch this video. Like Fran from Nano and Nana's, or Nana's in there, I forget what order that is, Grandma and Grandpa's. Like we did a 2-hour interview with her and whittled it down to 5 minutes. She is adorable. I mean, adorable. And so that video is in the hands of an artist and a writer. They're creating a piece of art and a piece of writing based on that video. So we have 3 of those. And on December 9th, opening day night for Smithsonian, which starts at 10 o'clock in the morning and ends at 8 o'clock at night, so long day for Kenny. They're going to be doing a performance piece. So that theater troupe is going to see that video at the same time as the audience, and then they create a responsive improvisational theater piece to all of that content. 3 of those cubicles, let's just call it cubicle 1, will be the Fran exhibition. So we'll have quotes and photographs that are representative of the things that she talks about in her video. Each one of those cubicles is going to house an exhibit of each of those 3 subjects, I guess subjects are of those people. The fourth cubicle, after that event, is where we're setting up a little mini micro pop-up theater plex. And we'll have a big screen, some theater seat in there, and we'll be looping those 3 videos that will only have been seen opening night. But now people can keep coming back and they'll see those 3 exhibits, plus they can watch those 3 videos. We're gonna integrate the 5-minute clips that Jeff has been making into that little theater seat. We also are collecting or attracting other video content of like size that we're going to be pumping into that little theater. So whenever this building is open, people will be able to walk back in there to the Smithsonian thing, go into that little theater, have a seat, and see parts of Echoes. What that looks like, I don't know yet, but my understanding is that there might be 12 of those 5-minute clips.
I think he said 12 or 13.
Yeah.
So we'll figure out,
Yeah.
the scheduling behind that, but that's another place that your content is gonna be seen as part of the Smithsonian. We're also creating a Creative District YouTube channel, where like those 3 videos of the subjects for Story Share are still top secret, so those aren't public on there yet. But as we continue to create more video content through the Creative District, we'll be posting all of that stuff up on the YouTube channel. All of this falls within, the mission statement of the Creative District is basically to create opportunities for the constituents of the district, of which you are one, every business, every artist, every nonprofit organization. So this is a way in which the Creative District is living into its mission by creating opportunities. And the Smithsonian is a prime example of how we're, creating some runway for that. We're trying to create opportunities for people to collaborate as part of Smithsonian, and what you guys are doing is a prime example of that. So,
Talk about a multimedia extravaganza.
many birds, one seed.
Yeah, that sounds
We have
bad.
all the records.
Yes. Why do you write? You want to do something? Okay. So let's talk. Will you text me? Do you email? Okay, do you email?
Yeah.
Alright. Let me go for this thing up. Will you email yourself, please? So, yeah, and we'll talk about your writing style and let's figure that out. So, yeah, because there's all kinds of room. And this has been a very efficient thing. Like, I'm producing all of this stuff, so our permission structure is: do you want to do it? Will you do it? Does it fit? Yes. Go. Perfect. Right. So this is exactly the way it happens. If you are interested, I'll make it happen. All right. Done. So if there's anything else that you have going on, or that you're curious about or interested in, let me know. If you have any questions, you've got me right now. I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll leave you to your meeting and I'll go get back to doing what I do.
Great.
All right.
That's great news.
Nope.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll be seeing more of you, I'm sure.
Yeah. You're gonna get sick of it, I promise.
Don't say that.
I did the Facebook post.
Yeah, I try to be as light and fun and productive as possible, and sometimes that means I'm very short, but there's lots to get done.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
Um,
We thank you. We're
It's all
so
fun.
glad that you're working with Jeff, and that this is such a good example of things that we've done before that can be done and used again and in a better way, but in another way, so.
And we want to get this stuff out on a platform where it lives in perpetuity, so that we can start to accumulate the kinds of things that draw attention back. So, and then if you're interested in rail stuff at all. I got guys over there right now building, I don't know, it's probably gonna be a 500 square foot layout of 3
Oh,
different
wow.
scales. It's ridiculous. So, you know, yes, no, doesn't matter to me. It's happening, so. And we are gonna be doing a field trip, so I would offer this too. And I don't know, you know, how, what it is that you do might be of benefit or educational for kids and teachers, but we are scheduling field trips the week of December 11 through 14, just like we did for Goodnight Moon. We're using the same footprint. What we did logistically worked really well for them. So it's 10 to 3 and it's a buffet. You know, they came for Goodnight Moon and it was a 1-plate special. This time they'll come back and they can avail themselves of everything Smithsonian related in this room. The train exhibit will be open, Skateland will be open, A.R. Mitchell will have 2 shows, the coal miners will be open. So imagine buses showing up and kids getting to like
So cool.
get a scoop of a bunch of stuff, and they'll just, you know, their teachers will pick and choose where they want to go. They won't be able to do everything in 2 hours because they have 2-hour windows because of bus schedules. You know, so we only get their buses when their buses aren't doing something else.
Yeah.
So it's 10 to 2 and 1 to 3. So they'll do what they can in the scope of 2 hours. If it feels like a fit, you know, what it is that you were all about, if it feels like a fit, let me know. Let's figure out how to work it in. You know, if we're trying to put a horse hoof into a slipper, let's not bother. But if it looks like an easy lift and a good fit, just let me know. All right?
Okay.
And Elizabeth knows how to get a hold of me
We all know how to
24/7.
get a hold of Kim.
Yeah.
So.
So there we are. Are we good?
Yes.
Yay, thank you.
And
Gracias.
Yes, sir.
yeah, and I'll email you my phone number. Just call me when you can. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's the kind of event planning and energy and time it takes to put stuff together. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of.
He's doing something that's taking a month, so I fully understand why he's tired.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, this is a great example of how, you know, you have an idea and it's cool, but actually executing it is a whole nother matter. So, what if, and you know, as he's sitting here talking, we wanted to narrow down, so we talked about combining our landmarking efforts with our ECHOS efforts. This is all in process, right? If we said we were gonna do Central Park grandstands, maybe do a game with that, we don't know. Kit Carson bandstand, do some kind of fun outdoor event
Yeah,
for
a
them.
nice concert.
A concert.
Yeah.
Or a picnic or.
Yeah.
A picnic concert kind of
Picnic,
thing.
barbecue.
Yes.
Yeah. like
And
those.
then, I don't know why I keep coming to 3, it's just, you know,
Three is just a
3
magic
is-
number.
and the Children's Museum.
Okay.
Because we have sitting here,
Yes.
Miss Lori Hackett,
Mm.
someone who's like fired up about doing something. So what do? You need to use that energy.
Yeah, for sure.
So if we had those 3 landmark and have events, ECHOS events, we call them companion events, we can steal that from Smithsonian. Whatever, ECHOS events around those 3 landmarking structures. Maybe that's what we could do for ECHOS 2024 and use some of our money for that. Does that, at least as a preliminary
I
plan,
like
make
that.
sense?
That's a good place to start. I like that. It seems manageable. Or
And if we feel like we need to, this is just out for discussion, hire an event planner, maybe we don't, because we're gonna be landmarking and we're gonna have, these will probably occur at different times.
and those would be like separate little events to plan and not one big, huge,
Yes.
overwhelming thing.
Well, it wouldn't be like that much planning, right? I mean,
Right.
just show up to a band.
Yeah.
or show up to a game.
Well, you
Putting
might
a
have-
cricket game together at Central Park Bandstand does take planning. It does take somebody who.
Well, I mean, it's not like what we did last year.
No, none of this is like what we did.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, I think that should be manageable. Maybe stretch it out over a month or.
Well, it just depends on the availability and readiness of our, first we gotta get a consultant that's gonna do these applications for us. When can those be done? When can that landmarking actually occur? When is the grandstand stuff gonna be done at Central Park? So that's gonna drive where we might do something over there, I think, somehow.
For the landmarking, just to get it processed between like, the two that we just recently did for Keely, she got those, last month? They're just now going in front of city council this month. So it took over a month for that process.
Right.
So if we are gonna get any of that started, I would think we would have to start in January or February to get it completely done before June, if that's when we wanna have the event again.
Well, I don't know if we wanna have it in June again. I'm saying these three, it would depend. So maybe we have the June, if the Central Park's gonna be ready by June, of course, it's an outdoor thing, we want it to be in the warm weather, so maybe that one happens, let's say, pretend, in June, and we have all of our stuff done ahead of time. And then we do Kit Carson Grandstand in August, because we don't wanna interfere with 4th of July, I don't know, sometime in the summer. And then the Children's Museum, perhaps in September, for whatever reason, just because they're separate. I don't know.
And there isn't any reason why we can't get them landmarked and get that process done.
Exactly.
And we don't have to have the event right there.
No,
We can have separate
We could just
stuff.
have the event when we put the plaque on.
No, we do these, we get all these landmark applications going right away.
I think, like I said, I can talk to Audra and get, about getting a consultant and see if we can get the one that was previous, maybe she's back or whatever, I don't know what reason was that she stopped, but we can check.
Well, okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's.
Well, I was thinking that maybe somebody like Keely, who has experience,
What about that?
I can check with her.
talking to her, I mean, I see her a lot.
Well, I don't know now, I think she might become, I think she's city council now.
Right, but,
No,
There's 4 now because Karen made government
Oh,
mayor.
what's
So
her?
she's the 4th,
Oh.
that means that she takes.
Oh, somebody there, so we were only voting for 3 positions?
We were voting for 3, but Karen became mayor. She can't
Oh,
be on
Karen,
city.
okay.
Yeah, she
I was
can't be on
wondering,
city
I didn't want to
council.
ask
Yeah.
whether it was appropriate, but I guess that's.
She's not,
This
she
is good
can't be
enough.
on city council anymore because of that.
Right.
The 4th person who won
Oh,
takes that
so
position.
who else is on city council?
Now it's gonna be Keely, Aaron,
Manny.
Manny.
Aaron Williamson.
Yeah, Aaron Williamson, Manny, and then the other one that won was,
Shoot.
I can't remember who the other one was.
Craig Shoot?
Yeah, Craig Shue.
Hmm.
Those would be the 4 that.
Yeah, so if she's gonna be on city council, she couldn't do it.
Actually, I wonder if she can be, she would just have to accuse herself when the vote happens on city council.
Check with Audrey.
I will check.
Yeah, and if I come across Keely in my walks,
Or,
then,
I know
I see
Glenn
her.
Davis does preservation as well.
okay.
So we could possibly add. The only problem with him is that he is
Who?
Glenn Davis. He's the one that did
Paul Glenn?
Paul Glenn. Sorry, wrong.
Okay.
I'm thinking of the
They're two
contract.
You're both short. Paul Glenn.
Originally had the ones Keely were working.
Keely took over because he was falling behind and the owner was upset. His issue is that he stretches himself a little thin and has got his hand in too many projects.
Well, that's
going
not
on.
asking him then,
Yeah, because if we want speed,
though. Do we have, so do they have to be, so there's, I know there's a designation, not anybody, it's like historic preservationist designation, they have to have that certification to do these?
no, but they're the best to do it
Right,
because
they have the training,
history
they have
and
the,
training.
yeah, because I think anybody could do it if they were
Like a
willing
homeowner,
to
because that's what
to
Tom
put,
did.
yeah, to put in the time and the effort and to find all these little nuances that you
What
have
if
to go
we,
through.
what about this, and I'm just bouncing around ideas, what if someone local, I mean, it would be awesome to have someone local, I think, just because you can, you know.
I can
What
ask,
about Ken? What about Ken Chapin?
I can ask Audra and see if there's stipulations of why they had to be a consultant. And see if they're, I mean,
I just think we need to find out.
yeah, we need a little more information. I can ask her and see what's going on, and get back, by our next meeting.
So those three buildings are structured, are we in agreement on those? Okay, so we need to get going, find a consultant, get those applications filed, and then we can go from
We're
there.
gonna bring it to a formal vote, right? Like, in our meeting,
Pardon?
our next meeting?
Yes, at our next meeting, we have to vote on this.
Even on the selecting the landmarks? Or?
No, I don't know that we would have to do that.
No, I don't think so.
I think we would only have to get a vote on anything once we found somebody to do the work and to get the work
I don't
done.
think, I'm not sure that we need to vote on that.
Okay,
No, you'd only have to vote once we bring the
Yeah.
applications to us.
okay, so until then, we,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
So I would just talk to Audra and see if she can give us some direction on who might be able to put these together
Yeah,
for us and try to, because we need to access that budget. And my vote would be that if in December we don't have any pending business, that we skip December, possibly, as per meeting.
No, we had things for the, you had me
You
push, yes.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
So we'll be.
you had us push.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Or I asked, yes. Yeah.
All right, so the next one would be the historical preservation plan.
And what this is, and I'm just gonna talk really briefly about it, so this was way probably overkill that I asked Tara to include in your packet. The Power of Heritage in Place, and this is just a document by History Colorado. The idea is that, and it's much simpler than this is just a model, right? A lot of towns in Colorado have a historic preservation plan. Now we are, my understanding is, cities doing a strategic plan, they're
Yes.
doing other kinds of planning. So I think we just need to be represented in whatever planning they're doing as far as historic preservation. So we don't necessarily have to have our own separate historic preservation plan. And all of these thoughts are just with the goal of saying that elevating historic preservation and being planful and forward thinking about it as a community. And I think that's part of the role of the commission. So at a minimum, what I'd like to do, and this is just to give whoever agrees to maybe volunteer to do this, some structure or a place to start. And that would be just to create a timeline. I'm talking a 1 to 2 page document that records the history of this commission, because, you know, we start over, it's like Groundhog Day, you know. You have different people on the commission, you have different people on city staff, and a lot of stuff gets kind of forgotten or lost. And who has historical memory? I think Marty Packett's a really good example of someone who has a lot of that memory. But I'm just suggesting that it would be a good place to start if the commission had just a timeline, 1 or 2 pages. When was the commission formed? When was it? It was disbanded at one point. When was the CLG added? When did we do our brochure? When, you know, so that we have, if someone comes onto this commission, when all of us are gone in whatever amount of time, they can trace at least a little bit about what's happened in the past. So we don't have to always start from zero. So that's all
I'm just that's one of the best things in all my, that I've watched so many of these start, it's like Monopoly, go back to go, go back to go, go back to, and they, sorry I interrupted, but what a great idea.
So just, and not, because I think, you know, I have to be careful, because I definitely tend to do this about making it too big, but keeping it manageable, again, a timeline. I'm just talking about one line. When was, you know, because our ordinance was enacted in 2015, I want to say. there are certain discrete historical events that occurred in this commission that we just need to keep track of. So, is there anybody on the commission that would like to at least take a stab at that? We'll all pitch in on it, but at least start a document that has that information in one place.
I can work on that. I can work on that.
Okay.
But it kind of ties into something I was thinking about that would be good, kind of going into the fact that this is a rotating thing, is having some kind of onboarding document or plan, because, you know, I wasn't fully aware of exactly what the board did, and, you know, the kind of pre-application information is kind of sparse, so that could be an improvement also. But this is something I do. I manage a team of software developers, and when I hire new people, we always have an onboarding program, and we iterate on it every time we hire someone new to improve it. And so having something that would be, including what you're talking about, historical information about the commission, why it was formed, and so on, but also what are our priority, like what are the priorities, you know, what's within the scope of our responsibilities in kind of a prioritized way, but also maybe like, you know, some examples like with regards to how we process applications, like these are appropriate questions, these are questions outside the scope, because, you know, at least in my first meeting, I was wanting to ask about what kind of cool fixtures are in that building, like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's easy, I think, for someone that doesn't have the context of what the committee is doing to maybe not, it would help provide more context for someone who's coming in without all the details, and so it get people up to speed faster, I guess.
So are you suggesting, I mean, if you could do, like I said, a discrete 1 or 2 page, just a timeline of the commission's history, and then maybe an onboarding, just a brief, like an overview.
Yeah.
Because that's partly what this meeting was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like that was,
done,
yeah, it was
know.
definitely.
I think you got way more than we ever did. And not to compare, you know, at all. It's just timing wise when you all came on board. But
But when someone comes on, it may not be that we're able to do this, you know, for every new group of people or whatever.
Right.
So I think
So then, of course, if there are things that you can just do start a draft, and then we can all have input on it.
Yeah, because I'll have to. I don't know about the history. I'm gonna have to reach out and do some research and
for sure.
ask questions, whatever. But
Everything's on YouTube.
okay, well, yeah, I'll go to the website and YouTube and everything, but I'll start on that.
Okay, so that's all I really intended to say about the plan, so to speak, and that was at F. And then the Formstorm norm handout was, again, just my attempt to do a really short highlight about, you know, working as a team. I'm here as a member, as a student of historic preservation, as someone like happens to many commissions, kind of gets to be a chair by default because nobody else wants to do it. And so I just see myself as facilitating communication, and that I do think is helpful, you know, because you do have, and it's just how it goes, you know, it's not a problem. But when you talk about team development, when people are forming, they come together, right? Like we just recently did again. And the wording is just chosen, I guess, partly because they rhyme, right? Storming, which is just about how do you communicate? What's your style? And if you lead a team, Chris, you kind of know some of this team development stuff. And then norming, how do we come together? What's our, you know, way of working with each other? How do we best like to be engaged with each other? And then the performing, of course, just the work, the nuts and bolts of what we do, and adjourning when we're sort of done with, and this can be a reiterative cycle. involved. So this happens, you know, you come together, you work on a project, and then that project's over and you move on. So again, just my attempt to show that it is a process, and everybody, I think, has a different style. I'll just offer, you know, my style is being pretty direct, and I know that that doesn't always work with people. So I've done a lot of mediation, facilitation training in my time as a professional, and I kind of like cutting to the chase, but that doesn't work all the time. You have to bring people along, you have to figure out what their style is. Some people don't like you to ask them a direct question. What do you think, Kara? Oh, you know, I mean, that's, so I've tried, I hope over the years, to modify that. I'm just sort of outing myself and saying that's how I like to be approached, which is what you see is what you get. And I think this came up partially, you know, you've heard me be a little exercised about our event last year and about, and planning when you have lots of different pieces and lots of different people involved can get pretty messy. And I just am not, I'm not saying it's what I say is more important than what anyone else says. I'm just going to say how I, what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do. And hopefully that there's some room between for a compromise, but that's kind of how I operate. So, anybody else want to share in terms of how you operate and how you're best, what is your, you know, best thumbnail about how you like to be approached and how you like to be treated as a team member?
Rudely.
What's that?
Rudely. I like to be treated rudely.
I don't like to be treated rudely. I like to be direct, but I really value kindness. I do. I don't like mean people. And at this point in my life,
I
at
don't
my
like mean
age,
people either.
I'm not going to work with. I won't. I just won't.
There's
So-
no reason why people can't work together with respect, and even if you disagree. And I like to feel like I've been heard, like my voice matters.
And I like to be sarcastic.
And I think it's just important to, you know, to treat people with respect. Does that happen all the time? Maybe not, but it's a goal to strive for.
Doesn't happen very often anymore. Our last one is the 2024
Do you have to
tour
offer anything?
I'm sorry.
I was quiet.
I gotta work.
As evident, I'm quiet. I just do what I'm told.
Staff.
My title is exactly what I am. I'm staff. I'm just that little person in the corner that does what I'm told.
Well, I like it when people push back. When, you know, if I have an idea or if I'm saying something and the other person says, I'm not so sure about that, or, you know, I'm not, I just think it's a good way to kind of, you know, hash things out, and it doesn't, that principled disagreement is a good thing. I really believe that. But otherwise, I think it's, you know, I try to be flexible. And this is not a pitch, we'll just go into, I think, is it our last item about?
Nominations for the
About
chair.
the chair, so, because this is
We
definitely.
can't vote until next
No,
week.
no, we can't.
Or this month.
I am not willing to serve as the chair next year. And I'm just drawing a line in the sand, I won't do it. And I'm hoping that someone else would be up to be nominated for that. And I think we need a vice chair as well. So we can talk about nominations.
Yes.
We can't act.
We can talk about it, but we cannot act.
Yeah, I'm willing to do it.
You're willing to be nominated? as chair.
Does
Is there
that,
anyone willing to be nominated as vice chair?
I'll be nominated, I guess. Wouldn't mind being nominated, I guess, for vice chair.
Vice chair?
Yeah. My question though is, does that start like on January 1st? Is it like per year or is it, how does that?
I think the chair position I know is for 1 year, so.
So yes, it would
It
be
does, it's
starting, it
the
would be
actual
starting in
years, okay.
January.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's good to have, because then as a vice chair, you kind of have time just to, ease into it, I think. So we're saying at the January meeting, you want a December meeting or
I think
January
we
meeting?
would vote in December for January.
Okay, so we're recommending Chris for vice chair and Derek as chair, and we will vote in December.
Yes.
Are you still there, Carlos?
No, the phone's on.
I was looking
Yep.
at.
Yep, he's there. We just wanted to double check. You did hear that about, for next month, we'll be voting for chair and vice chair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember.
Are you still doing, I did see we did have one other thing we skipped, and that was the website.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
you prepare anything for that?
I did not, just because I wasn't sure exactly. I thought we were gonna have a discussion on exactly what you guys were talking about in this, so that I can like figure out like what the best way to go about getting something together. Are we talking about like something for the community as far as links and stuff like that?
Well, have you been on the city website and hit the connection for us for the historical preservation?
No, I've been on there, but I've been on.
All it has on there really is when we meet, information about our ordinance, and then it has a list of who's on the commission, but that needs to be updated too, because that does not have, it still has me, or Chris on there. So,
Okay, so it's just like this little drop down.
yeah, and that's it, so it's just, we can add more to it, and I don't think, Des would have a problem with that, because Desiree from the city is the one that runs the website.
Okay, well, what exactly did we want to try to add to this? I mean,
Well, here's my thought, and I apologize, Carlos, because I just kind of skipped over that. Was what I said earlier about History Colorado said we needed it, so there must be a report somewhere on our quadrennial review. And they said, and I may be misremembering it, but my recollection is that they thought we needed more public outreach, education information on the city's website. So, and maybe
so
this,
this is kind of in conjunction.
it is,
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
I think it's related for
So
sure.
yeah,
what we talked
if you
about.
want to put something together, and then we can look at it in December, and then we can make a final vote on if we want to just add that to the website.
Yeah, I'll do this in conjunction with what I'm doing with the packet, because it sounds like it's kind of like in the same vein here.
Okay?
That's what we need to add to it. The only thing that, I mean, I don't know, like, do we have any kind of like a reporting theme as far as like, or is that just something that we should come up with, like what we did last year as far as events and stuff like that? Is that what they're looking for?
I'm not sure.
I don't know what History Colorado said
Okay.
specifically,
I can see if I can find that report.
but we need to find that report.
Yeah, if you want to do that, like get that to me, or else what I'll do is I'll just go to like some other
Yeah,
history sites of other municipalities and just see what they have on theirs, and then kind of like see what we need to do, and then if I have any questions, I'll bring that up on the next meeting as far as okay, like I don't know what this is, like we got this and this. Yeah, that's not a big problem. That's like the
That
same
would
thing
be
I'll
great.
do for the other things. So
Yep.
yeah, I'll definitely bring that. I do apologize. I wasn't 100% sure what we needed to be organized. I remember we kind of talked about that last meeting, but I was just kind of in and out of it. I was just trying to get my feedback into coming back to the meetings and everything. I was like, but now I know exactly what we need to do, and it just kind of sounds like exactly kind of the same stuff that's going to be in that packet. So, yeah, I'll see why we could create something for that and have some good.
Yeah, we just need a more robust site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least get some good links going to
Yeah.
some other sites, District Colorado.
On video.
Yeah, I'll come up with the links that I do have, and then we can vote on what ones we do want to put on there, and what we don't think is that important, or
Perfect.
if you guys definitely you guys come up with a list of things you want on this thing, because
Right,
I'm
we
just
mentioned.
gonna throw my 2 cents in, but if you guys have a better idea or something, that I should have on here, yeah, let's do that.
We're gonna want that footage from Jeff eventually, as soon as we figure out, we want those shorts and,
Yeah. We
and,
could probably just
the
have
full
them
length.
put it to like YouTube and then the
Yeah.
links to YouTube on there where it embed the actual videos on the site.
I think that would be perfect. Alrighty. I think that's the
Thank
last
you,
thing.
Carlos, thank you guys, I think we're good, meeting adjourned, anybody else, after I already said adjourned?
Yeah, I heard you.
Alright.
Thank you.
Not a problem.